Usapang COVID-19 at ekonomiya naman ang ating tatalakayin. Makakasama po natin si Go Negosyo founder Sir Joey Concepcion. Sir, magandang umaga po sa inyo.
Magandang umaga rin.
Yes, Sir Joey, may expire na po ngayong katapusan ng Disyembre ang COVID-19 state of calamity sa Pilipinas. Sa tingin niyo po ba dapat pa itong i-extend sa susunod na taon?
Well, depende yan kasi yung mga nagsusupply ng mga vaccines ng Moderna at Pfizer ay humihingi ng emergency use authority, no? At wala pa silang CPR, Certificate of Product Registration. So, ang ibig sabihin nun is that it cannot be sold to the drugstores. So, babalik tayo dito sa government guaranteeing the safety, no? That the liability will be borne by the government in case those who take these bivalent vaccines will have problems. No? So the EUA will be needed there, no emergency use authority. So for that to happen, the president might have to extend the public state of calamity. No? But if you were to ask me, it's really not needed. We're already basically moving on. But because of the requirement of all of these two, Pfizer and Moderna, that they would like to be protected, then an EUA will have to be issued out. Now, private sector, there is a group that is looking to bring the vaccines together with the government, so they will be signing a tripartite agreement. Our group is just asking that the clinics, the private clinics and the private hospitals be allowed to be part of that tripartite agreement so that the general public can access the bivalent vaccines as well. No?
Okay, sir, pinag-aaralan din po ng DOH at ng IATF na i-revise ang COVID-19 alert levels at gawin po itong kahalintulad ng rainfall warnings ng Pag-asa. Ano po ang inyong masasabi tungkol dito?
Well, ang tingin ko right now, nobody even minds the alert levels anymore. We just look at Octa's there in the newspaper every day. They mention the positivity rate. No, so if positivity is 20%, then maybe people should be more cautious. So I think we should do away with all these alert levels or typhoon signals. I think just measuring basically our healthcare utilization rate, basically are the hospitals getting full? If not, then there's no problem. Nobody is using alert levels anywhere in the world. Maybe China, but as far as I know, you go to Europe, you go to America, there's no alert level. So I don't think we should. But providing information to the public, which is being done by Octa and sometimes DOH on positivity, is a good indicator so that people will know when positivity is very high, then they should take extra precaution.
Okay, sir. Sa iba pa pong usapin, usaping ekonomiya naman po tayo, ano po yung inyong nakikitang epekto sa mga negosyo? Partikular na po yung mga MSMEs ng naitalang inflation rate na 8% nitong nakalipas na Nobyembre.
Actually, expected na rin yan kasi yung mga manufacturers katulad namin, matagal na that we felt all of these increases, no? But we could not pass it to the consumer. So we did it very slowly. No? That's why you see it's still rising because we are gradually passing the higher cost of raw materials to the consumers. So we don't want to destroy our Christmas, no, and have consumers really slow down their purchases. And that's why you'll see this quarter is still very good, no, for most companies. Sales is very good, very strong. We're posting growth even over last year, no? So that's a good indication. We see the malls full. We see traffic, which is good. That means people are spending. So I believe that this quarter will still be a very good quarter for most people, no? Of course, we have inflation. We expected that. 7+ to 8%, that's expected, and that's why interest rates in America have risen. We have brought interest rates up. But eventually, we are seeing a tapering off. Nakikita natin yung presyo ng mga gasolina, oil, bumabagsak na rin. No? Yung presyo ng trigo, bumabagsak na rin, pero ang layo pa rin, no, sa binili namin dati. No? So it's going down slowly. Hopefully, the next quarter, next year, the first quarter of next year, will definitely be much better. I see that prices should start coming down by the first quarter, and hopefully, interest rates would start to taper off by the second quarter of next year.
Okay, sir, ito po mainit na usapin ngayon itong proposed Maharlika Investment Fund o yung Sovereign Wealth Fund. Para po sa inyo, ano po yung magiging benepisyo o pakinabang nito para sa mga Pilipino?
Well, talagang maraming business organizations ngayon nakikita ko sa dyaryo in-oppose yung Maharlika Fund. No? Well, I can look at this. No? For example, when the government bidded out Transco, way back then during PGMA's time, if we had a sovereign wealth fund, we could have participated even in a small portion, no? Together with the private sector company that won Transco. As you can see, Transco is a very profitable company, which was previously owned by the government. No? So that's an instance when a sovereign wealth fund can be used. Tulad ng Semirara, no? An island full of coal. At that time, nobody paid attention. The consuming family won the bidding and they did a very good job. But if there was a wealth fund at that time, then we could have also invested. Ang tingin ko dito is that many people are just concerned, no, as to maybe the level of trust. No? Pero kung this fund will invest only in infrastructure projects in the Philippines, no? At ang kapartner will be the conglomerates, no, who are very successful. Sila Ramon Ang, sila MVP, the Zobels, the Boitises, and all these groups who have been playing in this infrastructure, building of roads, bridges. The sovereign fund can also take a portion of that, maybe between 10 to 20%, no? Maybe 10%, but not more than 20%, no? And if the fund, if this fund, sovereign fund, is going to be managed by the private sector, in other words, piliin natin ang pinakamagaling, katulad sila Anton Periquet, marami dyan katulad niya. And then, of course, the president, being the CEO of the Philippines, can be the chairman of the fund. But this has to be private sector driven. And if ever that the fund will invest, they should be sure that they don't take a majority, which should not be done in a fund. You make a small investment. And yung kapartner nila ay yung mga successful na negosyante ngayon nakikita natin who are doing well in all of these infrastructure projects of the government. No? Katulad sila MVP, sila Ramon Ang, and many others out there who have been investing in power plants, in roads, in bridges, and airports. So that's where the fund can invest. No? So I am not totally against the fund. I believe that it has to be managed well. And the best is to get people from the private sector who have an extremely good track record of performance. And marami dyan, no? And I think then, and hopefully we would have enough funds in the country to invest here. No? One concern kasi is that we have a slowing economy. We are facing some headwinds. And we may be affected with our debt, no? Because we're borrowing a lot of money because of the pandemic and now the infrastructure projects. No? But then again, I believe President Marcos believes in public-private partnerships. This is one way to do it. I believe the fund has to be, all the directors of that fund have to come from the private sector who are well respected and have a great track record of performance. That's to me the most important thing.
Okay, sir, kaugnay pa rin po ng Maharlika Fund. Ayon po sa isang ekonomista na nakapanayam namin dito sa PTV na makakatulong itong sovereign wealth funds sa paglikha ng mas marami pang trabaho. Ano pong masasabi niyo tungkol dito?
Well, you really don't need the fund to create more jobs, no? Because itong mga projects natin ng infrastructure, the private sector is playing a big role already there, no? Of course, I mean, as we accelerate our development and more roads, bridges, and airports and all of that are going to be constructed, then it will generate jobs, no? But here, what you're allowing is that the sovereign wealth fund that are if they will allow pensions to be invested here, which is still in question, then people can participate. In other words, when we privatize, like for example, assets out there, and a conglomerate would take that asset and start with that business, and the opportunity, whether it's in power, or roads or bridges or whatever other out there, at least the country can still participate, no? Whether it's 10% in that particular investment, which will be run by the private sector as well, no? So yes, there are concerns because this is something that I believe is best well managed, no, by the private sector. And the way I see it, if they do it that way, whereby the funds managers, are really good, the people in Maharlika will all be private sector except for the president, then I think it may have a good chance, no, to succeed, no.
Okay, sir, sinabi po ni House Speaker Martin Romualdez, ang pagkakaroon ng Sovereign Wealth Fund ay makakatulong na ma-achieve ang objectives ng Agenda for Prosperity at 8-point socio-economic roadmap ng Marcos administration. Ang inyo pong opinion patungkol dito?
Well, I think he has a point. But then again, we have to remember that, to me, there are a lot of opportunities in the Philippines, especially in all of this land reclamation that is happening right now. These are all private sector driven. It would be nice if the Sovereign Wealth Fund could invest in the reclamation that is happening now in Manila Bay, and that's a sure winner, for if the fund would invest there. So these are just examples, but then again, what I'm trying to say is that it should really be private sector managed, and then I think we will see the level of trust of those who are concerned move up, and right now, unfortunately, there's a lot of people who are not clear yet on how the fund will operate, but I think if this will be in the good hands of the private sector who have a great track record, then why not? If you have people like Tessie Coson there in that fund who has no conflict of interest because they're not in any partnership with the government, people like that, well-respected, successful bankers would be good, for as a director to the fund. Of course, I don't know if Tessie will accept, but what I'm trying to say is that is, to me, the most important. The level of confidence of these Philippine citizens will be much higher if they see that there are really well-experienced and with great track record.
Okay, Sir Joey, bilang panghuli po, ang inyo pong paalala sa ating mga consumers, lalo na ngayong nakapagtala po tayo ng inflation rate na pumalo na sa 8%.
Well, ang tingin ko dito is this is all temporary. Hopefully the Ukraine-Russia conflict starts to simmer down. Ang tingin ko dito, because of the higher interest rates that we are seeing today, this is also going to tame down inflation. So by next year, ang tingin ko dito, bababa na ang mga commodities natin. Hopefully sugar, it's at 4,000. We hope to see that going back to the 2,500 level, which is more acceptable than where it is today. But then again, we're ending the year, this quarter. I think this quarter is still going to be a very good quarter. We are seeing the same Christmas spending that we saw, at least in our company, as last year. So that's good news. So the next quarter, which is the first quarter of 2023, syempre matumal yan because people would have already consumed their funds for Christmas. But I'm optimistic that hopefully America will start to lower down or stop increasing interest rates and start to lower this down. And of course, the Philippines will follow suit, and we see commodity prices moving down, then we should definitely have a much better year next year.
Okay, maraming salamat po sa lahat ng impormasyon na ibinahagi niyo sa amin ngayong araw. Muli nakapanayan po natin si Go Negosyo founder Joey Concepcion. Sir, maraming salamat po.
Salamat rin.